Imagine operating a heavy machine in a quarry, in the middle of a repetitive routine when something peculiar happens. It's not just the metallic clang that echoes across the cliffs, but a strange jolt beneath the vehicle. Gary Johnson, an experienced worker, stopped. Something there was out of the ordinary. What could be hidden beneath the layers of clay and mud? Little did he know that that moment would transform the silent landscape of Oxfordshire into the stage for one of the most significant paleontological discoveries of recent years. Beneath the machine's tires rested the marks of a lost world. Dinosaur tracks, preserved for millions of years, began to reveal their history. This unlikely encounter with the past has shed light on gigantic creatures that walked the Earth in the Middle Jurassic period, a time so distant it defies our own imagination. 4 of these tracks belong to herbivorous sauropods, with their long necks and giant strides, while one distinctly marked the territory of a formidable predator, Megalosaurus, one of the first carnivorous dinosaurs to be named by science. The discovery wasn't just surprising, it was intriguing. One of the areas analyzed showed something even more curious. The trails of herbivores and carnivores intersected. How did these species interact? Was it a chance meeting? Now imagine being in Gary Johnson's shoes at that moment. An ordinary worker, on a seemingly routine day, suddenly comes across something extraordinary. How many times do we ask ourselves, in the midst of monotony, if something unexpected can change everything? For Gary, that bump under the vehicle was just a technical nuisance, but within minutes, it would become the pivot of a discovery that would link the present with the distant past. It's curious how, in life, moments of transformation arrive without warning, almost as if destiny placed us in the right place at the right time. Noticing there was something unusual about the quarry soil, Gary called his supervisors. Before long, experts were called in and work stopped. It was no lump of mud or clay. There, under the weight of the vehicle, were the marks of the giants that once dominated the earth. As the workers looked perplexed at those fossilized forms, the first questions began to arise. What were those footprints? Which animals? And how could they have stood the test of time for millions of years? What followed was a true collective effort. We are not just talking about scientists and academics, but a diverse group of people, workers, curious people, paleontologists, students, joining forces to uncover what the layers of clay were hiding. The quarry turned into a scientific excavation site. It was like witnessing the birth of a great historical discovery, where each participant, with their tools and enthusiasm, helped to unearth a piece of history. Have you ever stopped to think what it would be like to hold something that hasn't been seen by human eyes for millions of years? Perhaps a piece of ground where a dinosaur walked, driven by the search for food or an attempt to survive. Every footprint found there brought this sensation. It wasn't just fossilized mud. It was a tangible connection to beings that shaped the planet we know today. And modern technology played an essential role. Drones flew over the quarry, capturing detailed images of the footprints, while advanced software transformed these photos into 3D models. These tools not only accurately recorded tracks, but also paved the way for in-depth analysis, from the dinosaurs' weight and speed to the terrain they walked on. Think about it. The same kind of technology we use today to map our streets and create digital games is now being used to decipher the mysteries of a lost world. Among the approximately 200 footprints revealed, the details were impressive. The sauropod tracks were immense, each like a crater, with the deep grooves indicating the colossal weight of their bodies. Megalosaurus's footprints were different, sharp, with visible claws, a reminder that nature, even in the past, was as beautiful as it was brutal. The area where the trails crossed was especially intriguing. Was this a chance meeting point between predator and prey, or proof that the carnivore was in pursuit? It's as if the ground were a page ripped from an adventure book, inviting us to imagine the events that took place there. For those who followed closely, The excavation was a mix of emotion and urgency. The footprints, which had survived hidden for so long, were now exposed to sunlight, vulnerable to the elements. It was necessary to act quickly to ensure that these precious relics were preserved, not just as objects of study, but as an inheritance for future generations. Every second counted. And here's something to ponder. How many discoveries like this have gone unnoticed by the world? How many stories, buried beneath our feet, just await the attentive gaze of someone who dares to perceive the extraordinary in the ordinary? Perhaps the greatest lesson from this discovery is this: the power of chance, curiosity, and teamwork to illuminate unknown parts of our past. If you've made it this far, it's clear that stories like this awaken something special in you, the desire to understand more about our world and how we got here. So why not continue this journey together? Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next parts of this incredible discovery, and leave a like to help more people connect with the fascinating world of dinosaurs. After all, every footprint tells a story, and we are just beginning to uncover it. The footprints found at Dewars Farm Quarry are not just marks in the ground. They are portals to an era that we often relegate to the imagination or science textbooks. Each track tells a story about the dinosaurs that once roamed tropical landscapes, about the interaction between predators and prey, and even about the environment in which they lived. But the real magic of these footprints is in the details they reveal. What can we learn from a simple step left behind millions of years ago? Sauropods, long-necked herbivorous giants, shape the terrain they passed through. His footprints are not just deep. They bear markings that indicate the impressive weight of their bodies, estimated at several tons. A more detailed analysis of the footprints revealed subtle patterns of movement. The way the feet sank into the ground suggests a slow and steady movement, typical of animals that needed to conserve energy to support their colossal bodies. On the other hand, the footprints of Megalosaurus offer a striking contrast. Their sharp, shallow markings indicate quick, almost stealthy movements, like a predator looking for an opportunity. And then an intriguing question arises. What was the purpose of these dinosaurs in that specific location? Could today's quarry be an ancient migratory passage, a route used by various species to search for food or water? Or perhaps it was a strategic point where vulnerable prey became easy targets for cunning carnivores? The answers are still buried in the ground, waiting to be uncovered. But what makes these footprints so special is not just the story they tell, but how they complement previous discoveries. In 1997, another set of dinosaur tracks was unearthed in the same region, including more than 40 different tracks. At the time, these footprints placed Oxfordshire on the global paleontology map, revealing the Middle Jurassic as a period of intense dinosaur activity. Now, with the most recent discovery, the story gains new chapters, and old questions find new clues. Think about it. What if these two findings were connected? It is possible that the tracks from 1997 and those from now are part of the same ecological corridor, a place where dinosaurs gathered repeatedly over generations. Modern technologies such as 3D models and drone images are allowing scientists to map these footprints with a precision never before achieved, connecting points that previously seemed scattered. Are we facing a broader and more cohesive portrait of dinosaur behavior? But not all answers will come from technology. Some questions can only be answered with creativity and imagination, two tools as important as any drone or scanner. For example, what was the daily life of these animals like? How did they interact with each other? And, most importantly, what can we learn from them about resilience and adaptation to environmental change? After all, although they are figures of the past, dinosaurs faced challenges that echo in the present: climate change, scarcity of resources, and competition for territory. At this point in the investigation, one thing is certain: these footprints are more than just fossil relics. They are a powerful reminder of how small fragments of the past can transform our view of the world. Each mark, Each trail is a piece of a puzzle that we are just beginning to put together. But can we fully understand what these footprints are trying to tell us? Or is there something deeper, something we haven't yet realized? This is the type of reflection that makes us want to go further, explore more, discover more. If you also feel this burning curiosity, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. We have much more to discover about these trails and the fascinating world of dinosaurs. And don't forget to like the video to help this journey reach other explorers like you. After all, the past is still alive, and it's up to us to unearth it. Did you know that each footprint left by a dinosaur can contain information so detailed that it's almost like a personal signature? The animal's weight, its speed, and even how it distributed its weight when walking are data that scientists can extract with modern tools. This fusion between cutting-edge technology and paleontology is what makes the study of footprints so fascinating and revealing. But what really makes this discovery so unique is the staggering volume of data that was captured. More than 20,000 images were recorded during the excavation using drones and high-definition cameras. Picture the scene. As paleontologists carefully cleaned each footprint with brushes and precise tools, drones buzzed overhead, capturing angles the human eye could never reach. These images were transformed into 3D models so detailed that they allow us to recreate the scene as if we were walking alongside dinosaurs. It's like traveling through time without leaving the present. And what are these models starting to tell us? The first revelation was the impressive diversity of the footprints. Some trails are perfect and well-defined, showing off every grip and contour. Others are more worn, suggesting that they may have been trampled on by other animals or affected by weather conditions at the time. These details, which would previously have been difficult to interpret, can now be analyzed in depth, thanks to technological precision. One of the most exciting aspects is the potential these footprints offer for understanding interactions between species. Think about it. The discovery of intersecting sauropod tracks and a Megalosaurus in a single area isn't just a geological coincidence. It's a narrative in the making. Could this be the trail of a chase? Or just a chance encounter between herbivores and the greatest predator of their time? The terrain, with its marks and depressions, seems to whisper secrets that scientists are just beginning to decipher. And here's a surprising fact. Some of Megalosaurus's footprints have a peculiar slope, as if the animal had slipped or changed direction abruptly. This could indicate a hunting movement, an escape, or even a social behavior that we still don't fully understand. These moments captured on the ground show us that even millions of years ago, the world was as dynamic and unpredictable as it is today. But not everything in science is action. Sometimes you need to stop, breathe, and reflect on what has already been discovered. Let's recap. In just a few days, more than 200 footprints were recorded. An incredible diversity of tracks were unearthed, and a piece of the Middle Jurassic began to take shape before our eyes. This is progress. But what comes next? What can these footprints teach us beyond dinosaur behavior? The answer lies in the new analysis tools that scientists have at their disposal. Techniques such as photogrammetry, which uses overlapping images to create three-dimensional maps, are allowing measurements of precision that were previously unimaginable. With this data, researchers can even estimate the physical impact each footfall had on the ground, reconstructing the ecosystem based on small changes in the terrain. In other words, these footprints not only show us who walked there, but also what the world around them was like. And that's the true beauty of this discovery. It doesn't end with excavation. The work carried out at the universities of Oxford and Birmingham will now be a reference for future studies. The 3D models, together with the more than 20,000 images captured, will form a digital archive that can be accessed by researchers around the world for generations. Imagine a paleontology student 50 years from now using these footprints as a starting point for a revolutionary new theory. It's as if we were creating a scientific time capsule, leaving a legacy for those who come after. Meanwhile, curiosity continues to drive us. Do other nearby areas have similar trails? Are these footprints a fragment of a larger ecosystem or just an isolated instant captured in time? Each answer seems to bring more questions, and that's exactly what makes science so exciting. It's a puzzle that never ends, but each piece added brings us closer to something bigger. Now, imagine the impact these discoveries could have outside of scientific circles. We're not just talking about dinosaurs, we're talking about the way we connect to Earth's past. And in a way, by understanding more about them, we understand more about ourselves, our origins, our challenges, our ability to adapt. If you feel like there's a lot more to explore, you're right. And we're just getting started. Subscribe to the channel to follow the next chapters of this incredible investigation. And if you liked this dive into the world of dinosaurs, leave a like. Each interaction helps bring these stories to others who, like you, still have the desire to learn more. After all, like footprints in the mud, our actions leave marks, and yours help build this journey. As we look at these footprints, the weight of their history becomes impossible to ignore. Every mark left by dinosaurs in the Oxfordshire mud is not just evidence of their existence. It's a reminder of how the Earth was once so different, so wild, so full of unknown life. And at the same time, these footprints speak of continuity, of how the planet, in its constant transformation, keeps fragments of what came before to teach and inspire us. The sauropod and Megalosaurus trails have led us to more questions than definitive answers, and that's a beautiful thing. They showed us the route of a giant herbivore, which possibly walked in groups, protecting itself against predators. And they gave us clues about the behavior of an agile carnivore, which was perhaps in search of survival or exploring its territory. More than fossils, these footprints place us inside a moment millions of years ago, a moment that now belongs to all of us. Questions about the interactions between these species, their movement patterns, and even their motivations do not need absolute answers to be valuable. The true impact of this discovery is how it forces us to imagine, to fill in the blanks with our own fascination and creativity. What would it be like to live in that world? How did these creatures coexist in such a primitive environment, but so organized in its own way? And at the same time, there is something deeply human about this discovery. How many times have you thought about leaving your mark on the world? How many times have you asked yourself about the legacy you want to build? Just as dinosaurs left footprints that span the ages, we too leave traces. Whether through our actions, our relationships, or even our efforts to understand the world, we are always marking time. These trails, now immortalized in 3D models, symbolize a collective effort to preserve not only a part of the past, but also a future of learning. Scientists, workers, students, and even curious onlookers who helped with the excavation all played a role in ensuring this story would never be forgotten. And, with the captured material, we are ensuring that future generations can study, admire, and be inspired by this discovery. But as we wrap up this journey through the dinosaurs' past, it's important to remember, the story never ends. Just as these footprints led us to new mysteries, the next chapter is always waiting to be unearthed. What else does the soil of Oxfordshire still hold? And in other parts of the world, what forgotten stories are waiting to be revealed? That's the beauty of science and curiosity. They are never satisfied. There is always more to explore, more to question, more to discover. And this thirst for knowledge, for deeper connections with the past and present, is what makes us truly human. If you've made it this far, thank you for being part of this journey. Your curiosity and passion are what keep stories like these alive and relevant. Now, we ask you to leave your mark too. Subscribe to the channel to continue exploring fascinating stories like this. Leave a like to help us spread the impact of these discoveries and comment below. What would you most like to learn about the world of dinosaurs? And remember, your every interaction makes a difference. Just as dinosaur footprints connect us to the past, your actions here help build a future full of learning and inspiration for others. Thank you for being part of this incredible community. See you in the next video, because the story, as always, is just beginning.